Survival in X-Japan. Kendrick Lamar. Push these bits off me like.
Howdy there. You saw the title, you know how these videos work. But first up, a few points. Point 1. How you doing? You doing good? That's good. Point 2. This list will feature Vtuber music from 2023 only. One song per artist. Point 3. I am biased. I'm biased by the things I like to watch, the languages I understand, and the music I like to listen to. This is not an objective list of everything interesting released this year, but I'd like to think it still features a lot of it. Point 4. The weird editing is to ward off Mr. Copyright. There might be some bright colours and flashing. I like it like that, but you might not. Just be aware. Point 5. You can tell me your best and worst in the comments. It's also a great opportunity to make fun of me for missing something. Point 6. This is just a list of my personal opinions on some songs people made. It's not that deep. Just keep it chill. Point 7. Yeah, there will be an overrepresentation of certain companies in the list. They have a lot of money and connections, and that helps you make better music, more of it, and market it better. It's not necessarily fair, but, you know, neither is life. Point 8. 8 these Okay, first up, we should probably get all the negativity out the way with my least favourite tracks of the year. I was in two minds about whether to do the worst stuff, but for the sake of transparency, I feel like a little bit of grumpy critic energy is okay. Obviously, the usual disclaimers apply. Totally fine if you like any of these songs. We're keeping it chill here, don't be a prick. No personal disrespect to anyone involved in creation. This was just a piece of art I didn't vibe with, etc, etc. Despite what a lot of people may assume, the majority of what I heard this year isn't so much bad and cringe, as it is just standard disposable pop music that's everywhere, or maybe amateurish in a way that comes from low budget. Rather than any of that stuff, the easy targets, these songs are going to be some of the more notable tracks I wasn't keen on for more, let's just say, substantive reasons. Kicking off with... Yes, I'm aware that dunking on fake type is kind of a cheap shot, but that doesn't make it any less true. I mean, they decided to make their career on evil circus music. I don't know what you want from me. The boys have been making this specific kind of bombastic pop rap electro swing for years at this point, and it's just the same shit from the same arsehole. Lifeless mixing that makes all the horns sound like geese being strangled, the usual songwriting tricks that they use in every single song with no changes, the irony poison lyric writing from Top Ham Hat Kyo that makes me want to shove him in a locker, and as always wrapped together with the contradiction that this is an electro swing song that barely even swings. And while I'm far from a Watame diehard at the best of times, she's generally not my cup of tea and kind of sounds like she's singing with a blocked nose, this still feels like it sells her short. I mean, even Kids Bop would screw their nose up at sheepy yo sheepy yay. Also, if you're confused about that title, what an amazing swing. What amazing swing. What a may swing. What a may swing. I would like to announce that I am joining the war on bullying. I'm now on the side of bullying. Okay, fine. Maybe it's a little bit unreasonable to expect a group song to be like, good, but even for those standards, this is painfully lousy. Say what you like about Niji. Yes, their group songs often sound like they were co-written by Nickelodeon, but come on, at least they're funny. I can throw on those tracks and just have a good laugh, like Hex Haywire doing his little We Have Batman at Home routine on Hold It Down, or that drop on Blackout that has like auto-tuned dubstep whistling on it, or Let's Get It Started with... just all of Let's Get It Started, actually. But Rebellion is just pure, transparent marketing. It sounds like Hololive finally decided to test out some AI music, just to see if anyone noticed. Lazy chorus, lazy lyrics, literally runs fire with Light the Fire with Wildfire, and vocal performances that are underwhelming for all involved. Yes, including Nerissa. It's also painfully basic and hollow and barely tries to hide the fact that its existence is essentially a musical billboard. Don't bother. Gary. No, Gary. The drums, Gary. Turn them down, mate. Down. Gary, no, that's up, mate. The other way, dude. Gary. look, I don't even know why I'm talking to you. This is clearly just a MIDI kit, but no, Gary, get fresh horns. Don't pull them out of the bin. Fucking gross, man. Do you have any idea where that piano line's been? Fucking look at it. And Gary, I mean, come on, mate. That's a Fisher-Price trumpet. This is supposed to be a song for a professional agency. Yeah, and you still haven't fixed the drums, by the way. Pull them down, mate. Down. Yeah, and give GarageBand back their bass while you're at it. Gary, look, I know she's trying her best, but you're not giving Millie much to work with here, are you, man? Gary, you know what? Fuck it. It's your song. Not even real anyway.
I see London, I see France, your girl in her underpants.
This ain't a dig at Lopi specifically, so much as it's about this kind of song, because plenty of others are guilty of taking a popular track and making a deliberately trashy, tacky, or low-effort cover and trying to coast off the joke of not trying very hard. See also the really stupid covers of CPR, or whatever other meme song is currently easiest to milk. The lesson here is simple. I'm not your dad, at least not that you know of. So if you want to make these kinds of bad covers, ironically, fine. If Lopi likes this song and wants to cover it, that's also fine. I'm perfectly okay with imperfection and scuff if it comes from the heart. Why I don't respect this is that it comes across like slopping something together half-assed and then dropping it in my lap like a dead bird and then expecting me to find it funny. Nah, bro. This is just kinda lame. Pretty sure Lopi will end up having an original song come out at some point, and I will give that a fair shake, but not this, dude. This is just laziness pretending to be funny. I really don't want to hear Gargura sing about sex. That's kind of weird, actually, especially when it's Deco Nina behind the lyrics. The writing on this song really does have that ESL awkwardness to it, and not in a charming way. It just sounds stiff and faintly embarrassing. Like, who the fuck refers to flirting as having the tactics you need? Bro, are you a swamp monster? Oh yeah, and the instrumental blows ass because Deco Nina is just a producer I do not understand the appeal of. He just has not written a single song I like, pretty much full stop. It's all just so flat and sterile and thin, and why the fuck is there a moaning dubstep drop on this fucking song? This is just Vtuber yummy, and frankly it might even be a little bit worse. The fact that this has old Taku's fingerprints on it just makes the whole thing even more embarrassing, and I just want to stop thinking about it as soon as possible. Next. Okay, yeah, she's not a proper VTuber, but for one, she is a faceless performer who uses an animated persona, so it kinda counts. For two, she has a massive crossover audience with VTuber fans, and three, what, was I just supposed to ignore this? Were you really expecting me to make a worse list and not include one of the most catastrophic anime covers of the year? Ardo is a massively popular artist signed to a major label that has very serious people who work there, presumably, and yet here she is on a professionally released song screeching like a goat with its nuts cut off. Let this one be a lesson to you kids out there that you can have all the singing talent in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's worth jack shit. This track takes a song known for being haunted and spine-chilling and turns it into an overblown shrieking train wreck that's honestly so horrendously lacking in self-awareness, it pretty much ends up in meme territory. Like come on. It's just so impressively dumb. There aren't a whole lot of good covers of Aishite, and generally I'm slightly nicer to Ardo than a lot of folks, but yeah, no one's gonna make a worse cover than this until they bring out the fucking bagpipes. Get out of my brain, 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 get out of my brain my brain, get out of 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 my brain, get out. Shit. Is it gone? Okay, well, that should do it for the worst of the year at least. Sorry if I was a bit mean to anyone you like. It's just the job, you know. It's not personal. But I think we should move along to the more positive stuff now. A lot of VTubing music gets treated like a punchline, and while I do get that, I don't always think it's fair. I won't call VTuber music better than any other type of music or anything ridiculous. It has its fair share of the derivative and basic stuff, like I said earlier, but it is also its own little creative niche, and there are some interesting people and creations in there if you go looking. Hopefully, my best of the year can shine a light on a few of the intriguing or interesting songs that may have a little more to them than you expect. These are some of the tracks I enjoyed the most this year. Okay, first off, an honourable mention that just missed the boat. I wouldn't normally bend the rules too much and start adding too many people, but Mika graduated a few days before I post this video, so I feel kind of obligated to be nice to her, a little bit like a Make-A-Wish child. And god damn it, I wanted to be glib and snarky, but this song is honestly pretty good. The production is warm and sparkling with a surprising amount of detail and a really decent hook, but it never gets so polished that it loses that bedroom DIY touch. Mika's vocals are definitely a bit flat, maybe even somewhat monotone, but it actually works in her favour to create this sense of plain-spoken raw honesty that really enhances the lyrics. One of Mika's big strengths as a streamer is her honesty and candour, her willingness to cut through the bullshit, speak from the heart and be genuinely fucking hilarious doing it. Seriously, she's like one of the funniest VTubers I've ever watched. So while her writing here is simple, she manages to tackle her complicated feelings and lingering issues from a strict Asian upbringing pretty effectively. There's real pathos here, it's not hard to feel it. It's so close to being fantastic, and it would have made the list proper if Audiotopia decided to record his vocals with a microphone instead of the McDonald's drive-thru speaker, and I guess while I'm at it, maybe we didn't need the demonetization joke in the middle of your song about familial trauma, but hey, I guess without the ironic deflection, would it really be a real Mika song? Either way, happy trails, Mika. Take it easy out there. Wait, is that why it's called... You're a fucking dick, bro, you know that? I'll get my big issue with this song out the way right off the top. It's not going to blow anyone's mind. It's a little bit standard, a little bit sleepy, maybe a bit too clean and polished. I might have preferred something that was a bit more risky and a bit more adventurous. But if you can put that aside, this is a pop song that is both beautifully written and spotlessly produced, with soft pillowy vocals and an instrumental that feels like a nice warm cozy blanket on a rainy day. Definitely one to get cozy with. Look, it's taken a minute for Crony to find her footing as a singer in my view. She's always had a great speaking voice, but that's never managed to fully translate across to her music. There's several reasons for that, but it's still encouraging to see the improvement on this latest cover that finally leans into the strength of her vocal tone rather than trying to square the circle. The bass-heavy shuffle of the production gently teeters between whimsical and spine-tingling, a line that Crony's delivery also walks with its skipping, almost ASMR-esque intimacy. The vocal mixing needed to be perfect, and I really think it meets the moment here. We finally have a song that really seems to understand the appeal of Oro Crony and showcase some of her strengths. This is the definitive version of Be My Guest for my money, and it's most definitely worth your time. Every year we have a whole host of popular songs that everyone and their dog, assuming they're not a dog already, wants to do a cover of, and for my money, the big highlight from that crop of tracks this year was the wiry MIDI pop jam Kukurarin, which from what I've heard might be a fan song about Doki Doki Literature Club or something. Either way, it really caught my ear and definitely produced some pretty solid covers. It's pulling the old Vocaloid trick of happy cute song with dark lyrics, but this time actually has the guts to back it up with some bizarre sour melodies and awkward time signature shifts that really sell that core idea of a person trying to keep it together as their life slowly falls apart around them. Although if you do go and listen to any of the purely instrumental covers of this song, like on Piano Say for example, it becomes pretty clear that the core songwriting here is actually rock solid despite a lot of the unusual swerves. For whatever reason, Axel decided to really twist the knife at the end of his version by whispering the final line, and yeah, that put it over the edge. Chills. Nothing too fancy here, this is just a super polished cover in tribute to Nina Kasaka, Millie's gen mate who left the company earlier this year. Even as someone who wasn't that wild about the original Kikuo track, it's hard not to appreciate the symbolism of Millie performing this particular song and doing so at such a high level of quality. Kikuo is often a little more difficult for folks to credibly cover, mainly because of how much his work relies on a sense of the uncanny or inhuman element present in a Vocaloid voice. But this is one of those rare exceptions that really understood the assignment, bringing out the underlying human warmth in the song instead. Millie often gets the short end of the stick when compared to her old partner in crime, Enna, but that high note she does right at the end there? Yeah, do not count her out. Millie can absolutely sing her ass off, and she delivered the goods on this one. Would have ranked higher if she was still wearing the hat though. So Marine decided to follow up one of the most popular original Vtuber songs ever this year. No pressure, of course. But if anything was going to be as big a hit for her fanbase as the self-aware thirst posting, it was going to be the old classic of the self-aware hag jokes. The result here is probably her most explicitly comedic song yet, so enjoyment will probably hinge on how much you like Marine's very bombastic horn dog sense of humour. I'll admit it took a little growing, but I did really warm up to this song, particularly its very cheeky jabs at gender norms and aging, but also that layer of sincerity underlying it. If you dig for it, there's actually a lot of heart in this song. It's not just all memes and irony and casual ageism, and that's the part that really stuck with me. Because the truth of the matter is, Marine could be 17 or 70, and so long as she's still entertaining, creative, happy, and a blast to hang out with, the specific number is kind of irrelevant to why we actually like her, particularly in this medium. And I think that's at the core of what this track is about, even if it is delivered in the usual zany Marine way we've come to expect. So here's to 30 more, you salty old sea dog. Okay, let's get something a bit different in here. Look, I clearly love a good pop song, but we can't just have sunshine and rainbows all the time. Let's get shit heavy. I'm pleased to report that there's an increasing niche of VTuber metal, and it's getting pretty decent. Granted, we are mainly talking about a lot of metalcore and some of the more pop-friendly strains of the genre, but folks like Haka, Ike, Obi Katie, Fruit, and even some newcomers like Miri Sapphire are really starting to make some more noise. Of course, this particular wave was never going to leave out Toa, whose slightly odd speaking voice has historically translated into an intimidating howl of a vocal tone. She's favoured a lot more guitars in her music compared with her peers, so that final step up into outright metalcore was a predictable but welcome move. And honestly, getting Yu Yu Yuppie behind the desk here may as well have been a cheat code for me. Draw the emotional kicks ass, and this does too. Anemone is the kind of grand, sweeping metal music with a killer hook that fits VTubing perfectly. It's theatrical, it's pummeling, it's got a face-melting key solo at the start that sounds like something Dream Theater would write. It just fucking rips. 4 skulls. Okay, yeah, there really are a lot of big corpos on this list. Turns out that cash and connections will get you a fair way in the music biz. Who'da thunk it? But that also makes things a little bit more special when one of the little guys manages to pull something out of the bag that really does stand toe to toe with the big dogs. I read Umineko this year. It was spectacular, and that's all I'm going to say about it to keep things under 10 hours. But this here was a cover for the theme song for the anime adaptation, I guess you'd call it, for Umineko that I stumbled upon at random, and somehow the girls at Prism Project managed to make one of the most technically impressive covers I heard all year. The production and mixing here is easily on par with the sort of quality you expect from Nijisanji or Hololive. Hell, maybe even more polished, and this was primarily pulled together with an instrumental from Fiverr and just a bunch of small and indie corpo streamers banding together on a project. Should go without saying that the vocals are also super solid here, especially the group sections, which are absolutely gorgeous, like even more spellbinding than the original. Congrats obviously have to go to Shiki and Pina, particularly Pina, who apparently handled all of the mixing and mastering herself, and yeah, if my ranting so far has not made it clear, please go and hire this woman, she's absolutely cracked. Either way, massive W for Prism. Sometimes the best way to get into a new scene and try new things is to start with something familiar and work your way out. I guess that's my nice way of saying that some of you are about to get some homework. I discovered Tsukino Mito this year and suddenly had the overwhelming revelation at just how much I was missing by ignoring Niji's JP branch. Like, it's a bizarre situation to be watching such a legendary streamer and realizing that there's only a sparse few translated clips because most people in the West just aren't that interested. It's a massive shame too. Mito is one of the most bizarre, unique and forward-thinking performers in this medium, someone with a very strong claim to the greatest of all time status, and while she did have a slightly quieter 2023 on the music front, the quality was absolutely there. Her most popular release was a cover of the cute little indie rock jam Around the World by Monkey Magic, a cover that improved on the original across the board, mainly by sanding away some of those tackier elements that gave the song a vaguely orientalist vibe of, well, yeah, go go Japan, konnichiwa, my brother. Mito's version takes it a bit smoother, playing down some of her more divisive eccentricities in favour of more playful subtextual sarcasm. The production also just works great. You don't even need to really like VTubers or VTuber music for this one. It's just a really good pop song, so you have absolutely no excuse not to be checking this out. Maybe some will argue that Hitomania is the true Mito fans pick, to which all I have to say is this. I mean, it could just be me, but I kind of like a song that's just really weird. Okay, maybe this song doesn't seem that strange on the surface. Didn't seem to leave much of a strong impression on a lot of folks on the first listen, and that's kind of understandable. For what is supposed to be an electro swing song, it's kind of laid back and unassuming. Rather than the usual squawky circus music we get from electro swing, this thing has more of a low-key nocturnal bounce, with the pulsing bass groove swallowing the high-passed horns and jaunty whistles. That in and of itself is a little different, but the song is packed full of these weird details. The lyrics, well, look, I genuinely can't figure them out. I have tried. The writing feels very specific, like it should all add up to something, like with these persistent themes of secrets and lies and playing games. Plus the ending where the song just continually speeds up and changes key until it all just derails in a honking mess seems like it might be some sort of metaphor for maybe like the crisis of meaning. And then I remember that this is a song about a singing dog and rat, and then I just get confused all over again. The song is hiding something, damn it. I will not let you jackals lead me astray with your calls of, oh yeah, it's not that deep. You're overthinking it. Get a real hobby. Fuck you, okay? This will be my white whale. You will all be looking like fucking morons when I unlock the secrets of the universe and Bite Can Bite by Hakos Bales and Inugami Coroner. Okay, jokes aside, it's probably not that crazy, but the surprisingly sticky production and the really elusive concept have kept me coming back to this one a lot more than I would have thought. See if you can figure it out. Okay, look, maybe it was a little bit of a shame that she didn't get the top spot at the VTuber Awards this year. You know, it's an award show, it happens. But I'll say this much, she's not getting a snub here. I know that there are reasons why a lot of Pecора's music gets overlooked. Hell, I only gave her album a chance because I needed some background noise, only to find that this is one of the most underrated VTuber records of the year. Obviously, I know why this is going to turn a lot of people away. Her music is pure cotton candy dempa at its most goofy and colourful, trading in outrageous song concepts of Pecora being an omnipotent goddess or a space dictator or having half the lyrics just being various ways of saying her own name. But if you're willing to accept the absurdity and really get wrapped up in the energy of songs that are pretty clearly designed for the live shows, these tracks are actually good fun. Granted, I think most of the album songs do really work best with a few of their friends around so they can really build off each other's energy and vibes, and that 30-minute album experience, that's the real recommendation here if you have any investment in the rabbit. But that's kind of a cop-out answer, so I would highlight the best standalone track as Human Rabbitality Project, a song about her evil supervillain scheme to turn the whole world into rabbits. Get it? Turn the whole world into rabbits? Loads of VTuber music is generally kind of smiley or positive or upbeat, but few can touch the infectious sense of joy and starry-eyed excitement running through this song that the incredibly ridiculous concept only enhances. Pecora is obviously pretty deep in character on this track, but it's hard not to look past that and just hear someone who is having a whole world of fun. I'm not going to pretend I'm too good for this. Pecora's new album is good. Go listen to it, or you're next. It's already come up a few times in this list. Graduations, leaving the company, terminations, non-renewal of contract, whatever you want to call it, the departure of a talent, a performer, and a character can be a rough topic for a lot of people in this community. It's inevitable, of course, but nobody really likes being reminded that at some point, the party will end, the lights will get shut off, and we all have to go home, no matter how true it is. Sometimes though, it's worth remembering that the conversation doesn't always have to be so difficult. Now, it would be a mistake to call this a cover song specifically about graduation. This track was released by Regis a good month before the departure of his genmates and friends Vesper Noir and Magni Desmond. But in the light of their leaving, it's hard not to read some of that dealing with loss and moving on into this cover. The original track is a Porter Robinson song, an ode to someone close to him dealing with pain and the difficult process of healing that comes after. And if I'm being honest, as good as the original track is, I think that the vocals and production on Altair's version actually do edge it out. Regis's soft delivery is near faultless, it's equal parts earnest and comforting, and the instrumental manages to be so slick and tight without losing any of those finer details. But as much as all that's the case, that graduation subtext, whether intended or not, is really what puts this in the top 5. That feeling of loss, of having to move forward when things are fundamentally different, of having to hold on to memories while still facing the future, it all just fits together so beautifully that it's actually kind of moving. As much as this song is about loss, it's also about the people who have your back when you're struggling. It's about the people who understand without having to be told. It's about the fact that you're not alone. Congrats to your leader. This is something truly special. I mean, I'm just kind of upset it's a League of Legends song. Suisei is next. I mean, she was going to be on here somewhere, but to be completely honest, it was probably going to be a bit lower for most of the year. Suisei is obviously a beloved industry icon with a boatload of talent, but I felt that her output was, in 2023, while of a high standard compared to her peers, just kind of meeting the same standard we've heard from her before. She did have that fantastic first take performance, and there was still a good number of decent new originals and solid covers, but I was left wanting that something extra. And then this happened. It's kind of hard to produce much analysis about this track that isn't just, holy shit, that chorus is one of the most jaw-dropping things I've heard in a hot minute. I mean, it's very straightforward dance music, but god damn man, that drop feels like it has its own G-force. Like all good dance music, it just attacks at the lizard brain and gets you moving before you can even really process what's happening. The track hits like a truck while also feeling sleek and maneuverable like a sci-fi speeder. I've always leaned towards MGO's more electronic and dance-oriented tracks, mainly because beefing up Taku's disco and house-inspired grooves with thicker bass is just a recipe for orgasm, and this song is a perfect example of why. I don't know how much of your time I should be wasting by saying Hoshimachi Suisei is a good singer and sings good on the song, but like, man, she's just incredible. It may have showed up late in the year, but please don't count this one out. It's one of the best tracks of 2023 and maybe even one of the best of her career. Wait, there's a Scooby-Doo reference in this song? There's a phrase that makes the rounds on the internet every so often, and it goes like this. I might be cringe, but I am free. It's a nice sentiment, I guess, but a lot of the time it seems more like a coping strategy than an actual line of self-empowerment. It's a way of letting yourself off the hook for being a dweeb rather than, actually owning the things that make you weird or toony or annoying. But there are some brave soldiers among us who truly live that phrase, and we call them... They had such a good 2023 in terms of music, man. Ignore that one, shut up. Ever since she's decided to double down on the angsty edgelord aesthetics, it's paid some serious dividends in my book, but possibly none greater than Psycho, and Embrace Your Cringe battle cry. The intensity is what really sells this one, with the pulse-pounding hard dance beat and the shrieking dubstep wubs, giving Bae the platform to just blow everyone else off the goddamn stage. A song like this, you have to go hard or go home, and the rat really stepped up to the plate. I mean, that ending is possibly the best ending of anything on this list. It actually feels like a sincere embrace of the things that make her weird or different, not just paying lip service to such. The whole "my world is a dark place" writing feels almost maximized to lean into the cringelord stereotypes, but Bae's vocals are so throat-shredding and passionate that it really does feel like a reclamation, taking everything people hate about you and throwing it back in their faces. After that pretty solid EP and the Corone collab, the rat might just be one to watch going forward. The potential is there for her to be one of Hololife's best. Alright, last graduation song, I promise. Although this one's a bit different. We've covered some tracks about a friend or a colleague leaving and the feelings of the people who remain, but what about the reverse? Leaving a company and an environment in which you've likely made so many memories, both good and bad, is sure to be a pretty emotionally intense process, and when writing a final song, that might be one of your last creative statements to the audience. What exactly are you supposed to say? Well, whatever that might be, I sure as hell wouldn't be guessing this.
Can you feel my heart? Protect my love.
This is like leaving your job by skydiving out of the boss's window. The sheer stones to make your first and final song an extended middle finger to the parasocial freaks in the audience, detailing the ways in which this job made you feel boxed in and objectified, and then leaning into the shallow fan service because hell, those people were never going to listen to you anyway, and you may as well get the last laugh at their expense. The chorus on this track is pure goofball, insincere fan service bounce, with the blown out production sounding even more wild and out of control than the Camellia usual. But the verses are much sharper revelations about his personal life and struggles, with the full knowledge that most people aren't going to pay attention to those parts. All of this might sound very bitter and cynical, and yeah, it is, but the real saving grace is that Mr. is both a surprisingly capable rapper and singer with a hell of a lot of energy and presence, but also just a genuinely hilarious dude. And the track is packed with bombastic one-liners and zany ad-libs to take the edge off a bit. Of course, being a few months clear of the graduation, we can pretty comfortably say that Mr. has moved along to other things and seems a lot happier, but the thought persists to me that maybe if more people could detect his love, he might have wanted to stick around in Niji a little longer. Detect My Love is artistic self-immolation, a song tearing itself apart from the inside and skidding out of control as it tries to juggle a tangled mess of emotions. But if you can stomach the overwhelming chaos and Mr.'s madcap gallows humour, yeah, this is one hell of a ride. Okay, the big one. And it's a pick that will likely get me some weird looks. I mean, sure, she's popular, but is she really that good? She's well known because she puts out quantity over quality, anyone will tell you that. She's fine, I guess, don't get me wrong, but the best? Are you sure? Yeah, damn straight. The best song of the year is Black Sheep by Maury Calliope. This song, and the song that follows this one on Jigoku 6, 6 Feet Under, are the two best VTuber songs of the year. There hasn't been any question of that in my mind since they came out. But this is a video where I have to explain why I like them and, well, how long have you got? The simple truth of Black Sheep and why many of us who have been following along with the subtext of Maury's work for a while now find it and so many other moments on Jigoku 6 so meaningful is because we've witnessed an emotional arc and journey that Maury's been on for like 4 releases at this point. So there's kind of no avoiding the fact that explaining this song and why it works requires a boatload more explaining and context than I really have room for here. The Maury lore doesn't come bite-sized, unfortunately. All things being equal, I should get around to telling the full length of that tale sometime in 2024, but for now, I'll do my best to compromise. Right, so it's no secret that both Maury and her music are incredibly divisive and have managed to spur no shortage of debate, toxicity, memes, discussions, and general internet bile. She exists in a bizarre contradiction of perception, simultaneously seen as an adored powerhouse of an idol, an inspiration and a VTubing industry leader, but also an embarrassing, untalented blight on the spaces of both music and streaming, and a free punching bag for misanthropic shitheads. And this contradictory state of affairs, in addition to various other things I can't go into now for time reasons, has taken a serious toll on her mental health and artistic output. But this is exactly why Black Sheep and 6 Feet Under hit so hard, because they finally find Maury dragging herself out of the bitter, nihilistic miasma of Cinderella to finally get her shit together. Hell, Maury even seems to acknowledge the fact that she should have made this song years ago, because we all know this stuff, right? You know, just be yourself. Don't worry about the haters. Focus on the people that like you. They're more important. Make the music that you want to make. And yeah, it's real easy to start throwing those Hallmark card truisms around when you're not the one getting currently booed off stage by more people than the human brain can even meaningfully comprehend. That rejection hurts. Hell, it's crippled careers, and it can make even the most simple and obvious answers seem impossible. Yet despite all that, On Black Sheep, she's finally found her feet. Not some bullshit tough posturing or a sarcastic brave face, but something new, something more vulnerable. For the first time in Maury's music, at long last, a flicker of optimism. A hope for the future that while it might not get easier, it can always get better. That her happiness is worth that. That's why it's the best VTuber song of 2023. Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching me ramble about VTuber music. I appreciate your time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click a bunch of the buttons under the video player just to see what happens. If you feel like I missed something obvious, please drop a comment calling me an uncultured fraud. I do have plans to talk about more VTuber music and industry related subjects in the future in the form of lengthy snobby video essays. The next of which will most likely be about the musical career of one Hoshimachi Suisei and what makes her such a unique performer and an industry icon. Until then, take care. And here are some other cool songs that came out this year for your trouble.